Do you feel invisible? Like your words mean nothing? That everything you do goes unnoticed, as if no one cares? Like there's no one in this entire world that genuinely feels like you matter? I used to tell myself I don't matter every day since the time that I was 13. This was easy because there was a constant flood of people telling me how unique and special someone else was due to their life story. All I saw while scrolling on social media were these people with perfect lives, and no one ever showed the ordinary or the realistic. That made me feel small, as if no one really saw me. That being ordinary made you automatically unimportant. I felt this weight on my shoulders every day from the feeling of not being good enough and the continual feeling of shame because I wasn't everyone else's definition of special. After years of having this battle with myself, I finally found some real progress and some real answers. The thing I realized I was doing was using other people's definition of special to define myself. In my generation, I grew up with the start of social media, and this brought a lot of unwanted, loud voices into my mind. I would repeatedly, unconsciously think things like my face, my eyes, my hair, my nose, my smile don't look like theirs. If I could only change them, people would pay attention to me and like me. I would also think things like, I wish I lived in a house like her. I wish I went on family vacations every year. I wish I had a natural born talent. I wish I wasn't so weird. These voices got louder and louder and more negative. And the more that I let other people's thoughts penetrate my mind, the more I lost sight of all the good stuff about myself. Back then, I defined special as being the prettiest person in the room, having a natural born talent, having rich parents. Most of the things we see in movies for main characters. Changing my view on the definition of special was really difficult, and it took a lot of time, but it was the only thing that really helped me take the weight off of my shoulders of not being enough. It took me a lot of time to figure out how to change this perception I had in my mind, but I can finally break it down into 4 steps. I had to understand that everyone has their own unique path. Now, to comprehend this, we must first take a step back and look at what unique path means. Think about it this way. We are all born into different circumstances, which are completely out of our control. To my knowledge, we don't choose the lives that we are born into, they choose us. We all have combinations of different weaknesses and strengths, and that is depending on what have our experiences been. We face choices every single day, big and small. Some paths are paved for us, and some we have to carve for ourselves. The situations that we are born into affects everything that we do and everything that we choose to be. So a unique path means our lives can never be recreated. The things that have happened will never repeat in the exact same way that they have. When I first came to this conclusion, I was like, wow, I'm the only person that can make this certain thing happen. And this is the only time that I can make these things happen. I am the only person who can create these outcomes in my life and that affect everyone else around me. Your journey is yours, and that's what makes it special. Recognizing that my path was special and unique because it was mine was the first step. I then had to start appreciating the ordinary, and it seems way harder than it actually was. When I say ordinary, what do I mean? Well, I mean the moments that are overlooked, like when you smell coffee brewing in the morning, or when you take your first bite of your favorite food, or when it starts to rain after a really, really hot day. Believe it or not, most of our lives are made up of those moments. And somewhere in between all of that chaos, there's magic. The first time I realized this magic, it was back in June, July, and I had been working out. I worked out really hard that day. I pushed myself, my music was blasting. I hit every set to failure. I wasn't having a great day. It was a pretty stressful day, but I was still pushing myself, and I was exhausted after my workout. I walked out, took a couple steps, and then I realized that it was raining, and I was super, super hot. And that moment when I stepped out into the rain, it felt like I had just jumped into a pool after being outside working in the hot sun all day. And I felt this wave of relief just hit me. And I paused. I just stood there in the rain, and I felt this calm, peaceful sensation that I had never felt before. I stood there in the rain for a couple minutes, maybe 5-7 minutes, with my headphones still on. Then I went to my car and I started to drive home. I felt so calm, peaceful, and happy driving home that day. The reason I felt those things was because I took a second to appreciate that moment and that feeling and being present instead of focusing on what's next. This moment was so small, yet it made me feel so full. This is where the deepest happiness can be found. When you stop and appreciate those small moments, it makes life truly worth living. It makes life special. Shoot a comment down below and let me know what your ordinary but special moment was. I would love to hear about it. After really acknowledging those ordinary moments, I realized and noticed that I was focused on how I measured up to others. I would think to myself, man, they matter so much more than me because of this or that. After sitting with those feelings for quite a while, I came to the conclusion of we all have this lens that we view the world through. It's built from our experiences, our beliefs, our emotions, and our insecurity. Most of the time, that lens distorts and makes us focus on the wrong things. I took the lens off by redirecting my focus inwards. I realized my worth wasn't about being better than someone else. It's about the choices I make. It's about the kind of person I try to be and the impact that I have on others. Suddenly, I found myself valuing the path that I've built, the lessons that I've learned, and the struggles I've overcome. It's not some grand epic, but it's my story, and that's way more significant than comparing myself to someone else's journey. After realizing my path was unique, that those ordinary moments were special, and that I didn't have to compare myself to others, I finally had to admit to myself that I was being way too hard on myself. I would get down on myself because I wasn't living someone else's definition of special. I used to change myself to become the perfect best friend for my old best friends just because I didn't think that they would stay my friend if I was myself. I bent over backwards for a lot of toxic people that didn't deserve me in their lives. I seeked everyone's approval, but the thing I needed most was my own approval. I was horrible to myself, and I'm sure that you can agree with me that you are your worst enemy. The way I changed this was I started to treat myself like I treated my best friend. Instead of beating myself up for the mistakes that I had made, I asked myself, what can I learn from this situation? Instead of focusing on my flaws and the things that I didn't like, I started celebrating the things about myself that I did like. The more I did this, the more positive things I had to say about myself. If I didn't like a picture of myself, I wouldn't avoid looking at the picture. I would force myself to look at it, and I would tell myself two things. One, the things that you don't like are not noticeable by other people. And two, imagine what someone like your best friend, your mom, your grandma, what they would say about that picture. They would most likely see that you are beautiful. This built something inside me that all external validation couldn't. Self-worth. It's about realizing my value. It doesn't have to do with my achievements, social media likes, or what anyone thinks that I should be. The way I see it, self-compassion isn't about letting yourself off the hook. It's about supporting yourself to grow and become the best possible version of yourself. I want to point out that I am just one person on my own unique path. My experiences may be similar to yours, but they are different. I want to encourage you to do the same and redefine special for yourselves. But don't just stop at the steps that I included in this video. Start there and build from it. I may have good advice, but it all depends on what works for you. Self-development is a personalized journey, and it is different for everyone. It can be lonely, confusing, and scary at times. I created a place on the internet for you and everyone else to find the support that they need. It's this channel and my Discord server, The Healing Corner. I want to hear about all of the times that you've struggled with feeling enough. What helped you heal from it, or what's stopping you from healing from it? And don't forget to let me know what your favorite ordinary but special moments are. Hi, I'm Abby, and I'm a supporter of you. I grew up through common situations that most people have gone through. I had a hard time figuring out how to become the best possible version of myself and how to grow. I'm sharing my journey one video at a time because I know my words will be valuable to someone. If you're interested in getting to know me a little bit more personally, I stream over on Twitch so that I can create a better connection with you. The link is below, and have an inspiring day. And keep going because you've got this.